Now, the Subway Final Word.
Welcome back to the Subway Final Word, and welcome back baseball to Pittsburgh. The Bucs ended a 21-year playoff slump in a big way, one game short of playing the Dodgers in the NLCS, losing to the Cardinals this week. I know it was a disappointing finish around here this week, but it still was a very good season for this team. Now the big question is, and I asked Frank Coonley this last week, can they sustain it? So what do they need to do, or where do they need to upgrade to contend next season? Let's start with the Tribs, Rob Rossi.
Well, the first thing, if I were the Pirates management, I would go to Pedro Alvarez. I would offer him a long-term extension. Same with Neil Walker. But if you're talking free agent acquisitions or guys you're bringing in via trade, you need to find a leadoff hitter. It was a big problem against the St. Louis Cardinals. They never had anybody on base, or rarely had anybody on base, for Andrew McCutchen to have a shot to drive them in. This is a team that we may look back and say they were the best positioned to beat the Cardinals in a playoff series. But you can't beat a playoff caliber championship team in a 5 or 7 game series if your first two guys don't get on base. And I don't think Neil Walker is ever going to be that much better than he was in late September unless you can get somebody getting on base in front of him, and Starling Marte did not do that in the playoffs.
They absolutely need hitting. I mean, that's a no-brainer. They need somebody in right field if they don't bring Marlon Byrd. They need somebody at first base if they don't bring back Morneau. So that's obviously what they need. You know, another thing that they possibly could need is maybe a little bit of more patience at the plate, maybe a better hitting coach rather than Jay Bell. How many times did we see somebody swing at a curveball in the dirt? I mean, that's just patience. Maybe that comes with maybe maturity. Maybe that's all they really need to help this team out. I don't think they should bring A.J. Burnett back. I mean, I'm a huge A.J. Burnett fan, but if you're going to have to pay him $15 million, I'd be, give that to somebody else with him and, other people like Garrett Jones and that $5 million, and maybe other people that they could save money on, maybe go out and get a bat, because it's obvious. I mean, you can't put up 0 runs, 1 run, 2 or 3 hits in games and expect to win big-time games. So they have to find a bat somewhere.
Mark Madden, do you have the answer?
Well, I have all the answers, Rich, but it's up to the Pirates management, the ownership, if they're going to sign checks. First off, a joke. What's the shortest month of the year? Bucktober. Had to get that in. I give them all the credit in the world, but nothing gets in the way of the jokes people. Bottom line, they can let Burnett go. They have plenty of affordable pitching and good pitching to stock the starting rotation. Bird's going to want too much, and I would not give multi-year, multi-millions to a 36-year-old guy who was playing in Mexico last year. I would keep Justin Morneau. His power betrayed him once he got to the Pirates. Kind of odd, too, because he hit 9 home runs in August for the Minnesota Twins, but they just don't have a first baseman. There's no one to play that position. So maybe Tabata in right field, maybe Taillon. You got Wandy, who's going to exercise his player option after his arm problems. You got enough guys to stock the rotation, but you need a first baseman. I think they need to sign Morneau. And if not Morneau, somebody of that ilk, somebody of that caliber, a Russell Martin-style signing to play first base. But it's up to ownership and management. We can speculate all they want about the Pirates moving forward, but unless these guys write the checks, not only sustain payroll, but add to it, this is a good year, but that's all it might be, is one good year in a sea of losing.
And if you don't bring back A.J. Burnett, you are going to need to find a starting pitcher somewhere. Taillon, like Cole, they're not going to go that Super 2 status, so he's not going to be up here until June. I'm not sure you can count on somebody to be a 3 or a 4 if you're just going with, say, Wandy and Garrett Cole in your top of your rotation. So you need to find some depth starting pitching. That showed this year when Burnett and Wandy both went down.
I totally disagree with you, Mark. I think Justin Morneau should be out the door. He didn't show anything in his month here other than he's a pretty decent fielder.
Who's going to play first base?
I mean, you can find a first baseman, anywhere, I believe. At least one that bats 250.
Garrett Jones, Gabby Sanchez?
At least one who bats 250 and, grounds out the shortstop constantly. That's the money you can put somewhere else to be able to bring somebody in who can actually hit. I think he's a good fielder. I don't think he's what they need at first base right now.
I think he's better than he showed power-wise, and the problem with saying they can spend that money elsewhere, historically with Bob Nutting, when that's been said, the money goes right in his pocket.
Well, I definitely think they need to get a first baseman, but I think they need to make an effort to sign Marlon Byrd. We need to take a break, but coming up next, we'll continue our Steelers discussion and try to figure out why they can't run the ball. Matt Presto thinks it's the offensive line. I'm sure a lot of people will agree with Matt, tweeting us. Bell is going to have an excellent game to manage 100 yards behind that O-line. The Subway final word. We'll be right back.